The movie opens with a woman named Lupe waking up from unconsciousness, finding herself in the mansion. Simon, who is also trapped in this mansion, tries to tear out a rope and help Lupe untie hers as well. She panics and rushes to her mother Martha and father Esteban, and she is glad that they are okay. Simon then goes to help an old man, Armando, and Pablo orders him to help another woman, Teresa, beside him. As Armando approaches her, she is scared of him, but he comforts her, telling her everything will be okay. However, there are 7 people kidnapped to this mansion, and the last man is known as Jose. Simon approaches the entrance, but finds it is locked and later discovers they are trapped on the island in the middle of the ocean. Upon knowing this, they seem hopeless, but keep their calm and wait for the opportunity to find out why they are here. Simon is curious if anybody remembers how they got to this place. The last thing Teresa remembers is getting ready at the hotel to leave for the airport. The flashback shows she was kidnapped by a woman. However, Esteban thinks the kidnappers might just want the money. But Jose replies they aren't looking for the money, and he reveals they want to make them suffer because Jose was tortured by the kidnappers for hours, and nobody asked him for anything. As Armando sees Jose's nails being yanked out, he assumes Jose is right. He believes they all might have something in common, yet Simon doesn't know what they have and asks them to introduce themselves. Simon is a police investigator from Mexico City, Esteban is a businessman, Lupe is a human rights lawyer besides being Esteban's daughter, Armando is a surgeon, Teresa is a stewardess, and Jose is retired. Suddenly, they are informed by the kidnappers that they are here to play games. There are 3 simple rules they have to follow. The first rule is they must choose someone from their group to die. Second, the chosen one must agree to die. And the third rule is no one can volunteer to die. They have only 1 hour to decide who will die, and if the time runs out and nobody has chosen, they will all be killed. Armando and Teresa begin to panic, pounding the door for the kidnappers to free them. However, Marta yells at them to calm down, and they soon get into an argument, not knowing which one they should choose as they all have things to live for, such as their family. Upon seeing this, Jose decides to let them choose him since he is the oldest one there, and he doesn't have a wife or kids. But Lupe doesn't allow anyone to sacrifice him because his life matters as well. Unfortunately, Jose is shot dead right away when the kidnappers find out that he is violating the third rule of the game, which is that no one can volunteer to die. Suddenly, the door opens for them, allowing them to make their way into the first room of the game. There, Armando finds letters and reads them out loud to the team. They must solve the acrostic first before continuing to the next game, and the remaining letters serve as the references. However, there are 9 questions revealing the secret about all of them, such as Esteban's figurehead surname, which is Pereira. Since he introduced himself as the owner of his business, he hesitates to reveal his figurehead surname, but it is revealed by his wife. Teresa later shows that she is addicted to amphetamines, which are stimulants that speed up the body's system. Lupe's secret is leaked that she failed her diploma test in high school. Simon is exposed as a betrayer of his partner, Lorenzo. The decades-old secret of Marta's sister is revealed to be Ophelia, whom Marta never told Lupe about before, pretending to be her mother's only daughter. The 6th question is about Jose, but as he is already dead, they decide to put him down as retired just as he told them. There are 2 questions about Teresa, with the second one asking about her dealer's name, and she reveals it is Elf. However, Armando is exposed as having one of sexually transmitted diseases, which is gonorrhea. He can't believe these kidnappers know everything about them. The last question is about Esteban's second lover, and it was Alejandra. Eventually, all the acrostics match, and the bingo is Pablo Jaga. However, Simon feels he has heard this name before and changes the letter J to V, resulting in Pablo Vega. Indeed, this is the name he has heard of. He reveals to everyone that Pablo is a killer. Simon has chased him many times, but hasn't been able to catch him. Pablo has killed many people, such as judges, politicians, and prosecutors, because they are all corrupted. Back in the day, Simon received an anonymous call and thought it was Pablo, so he tracked the phone, went to confront him in the motel, and shot him dead. But soon, Simon found out it was Pablo's wife. Simon assumes Pablo might be the one who locks them up here. Later, Armando discovers that he is locked up here because Pablo's mother, Patricia, died in his operating room, and he swears to Pablo that he already did everything to save her. He also reveals that before Patricia died, she was hit by a car, and the driver abandoned her. Upon hearing this, Teresa accuses him of being a liar and decides to tell the truth that she is the one who hit Patricia, but she is sure that at that time, Patricia was still alive. Armando then votes for Teresa to die, stating that because of her, Pablo mistook him to be a killer of Patricia as well. Suddenly, a radio plays the testimony of Nurse Paloma, who reports that Patricia only had a triple fracture in both legs, and a repair surgery was needed. She had an arrhythmia, and Armando put in the endotracheal tube, but he misplaced it. The technician and the nurse warned him that he was doing it wrong, yet Armando didn't listen and caused Patricia to die. Upon realizing he is wrong, he asks Pablo for his forgiveness and marks it as a mistake. However, Teresa is mad at Armando Armando and convinces everyone to vote for him. Esteban interrupts, saying that he, Lupe, and Marta are not going to vote against each other because they are family and let the other three solve this problem. Esteban also states that none of his family has caused Pablo more suffering than any of them. However, Simon doesn't like this as there are no innocent beings brought here. They all must have hurt Pablo in some way, and he is curious about what Esteban has done to Pablo before he begins to vote. Marta reveals that Patricia had worked as a servant in their house for a while, but then she got pregnant and left. However, Armando accuses Esteban of being the one who got Patricia pregnant, but Esteban refuses. Suddenly, the door opens and they proceed to another room. As they arrive, they are informed to seek the truth in the details of pictures placed on the wall. They start looking for it, and Marta is worried that their secret might be exposed here. There is also a picture of Teresa with her son, Mateo, at his graduation. Since she is addicted to amphetamines, she decides to send Mateo to live with his dad. Later, they find a picture stating Mom with Uncle Esteban and Aunt Marta in Paris, and the truth reveals that Pablo is Esteban and Marta's nephew, and Ophelia, who is Marta's sister, is Pablo's real mother. Simon then shows a picture of an asylum, saying he was born there, and Lupe questions her dad if Ophelia gave birth in an asylum. Thus, Marta decides to uncover the secret of Ophelia and her. She says Ophelia was always a depressed girl and tried to kill herself several times. Unfortunately, one day she was raped by a guy. At that time, Marta convinced her to have an abortion, but she refused. The baby was then born with a mark on his left arm, and Marta chose not to take care of him, leaving the baby with a midwife and also abandoning Ophelia at the hospital. However, Teresa accuses Marta of being at fault for all of this and blames her for turning a kid into a killer. As time is running out, they discuss who will be a sacrifice, but none of them are willing to die. Simon assumes that Pablo put Lupe here just to test if Esteban or Marta are willing to give up their lives for their daughter. At once, Marta convinces Teresa that if she chooses to die, Marta will help her son get a better life, as Teresa always wanted him to be. Esteban even offers $1 million for her son as well. Teresa thinks about it but refuses, saying that if her son has so much money without working hard, he will end up as an awful person like Esteban. She prefers to let Esteban die or be the one who watches his daughter die instead. However, Simon and the others decide to vote for Esteban, and he also agrees to die to save his family. But Marta doesn't allow him and accepts everything that happened is because of her, so she agrees to die instead. As she prepares for her impending death, suddenly the clock stops ticking and the third door opens for them. They continue their way and soon come across a table full of meals prepared for them. Simon and Armando start eating, and Armando suggests that everyone should eat as this might be their last meal. Soon they realize Jose was the one who got Ophelia pregnant, which is why he was also brought here and tortured. Later, Armando finds a knife hidden in the chicken with a tag that Pablo wants them to use to kill the chosen one themselves. The time then continues ticking, and everyone backs away from Armando. As Marta agrees to die, Armando goes towards attempting to kill her, yet Esteban interferes to stop him. Unfortunately, Esteban accidentally stabs Armando, leaving him in his last breath. Simon steps in, asking how he could help him, yet Armando knows there is nothing Simon can do and leaves his life to fate. Upon seeing this, Teresa begs him to agree to die as he is now the only one who could save them. Everyone begins to vote for Armando, and eventually, he agrees. He asks Esteban to grab a knife and stab him in the heart to kill him instantly. Esteban does as Armando has told, and after Armando is dead, the clock stops at centisecond. As the next door opens, they continue to walk until they arrive outside the mansion and soon realize they are now in the maze. Later, Simon and Teresa are split up from Esteban and his family. However, Lupe feels something isn't right and asks her dad to go back, but Pablo's men are following their tail to kill them, so they continue their escape in the maze. When Teresa hears a gunshot, she panics and runs for her life, leaving Simon alone. Soon Teresa catches a glimpse of the road, rushing to get out of the maze immediately, but unfortunately, she is hit by a truck. Suddenly, a man comes out, revealing himself to Teresa. However, she is shocked to see that he is Pablo Vega, but surprisingly, Simon is actually Pablo Vega, who just disguised himself as Simon to play the game along with them. Later, Esteban and his family arrive at the sea and make their way to the boat. As they are about to leave, Simon yells for them to stop, asking to leave with them as well. Eventually, Marta finds out Simon is Pablo when she sees a mark on his left arm. Upon realizing who he is, Pablo wants to play one last game with them, and they are going to play Russian roulette. Pablo hands over the pistol to Marta to shoot Esteban first, yet she isn't able to bring herself to do it. Thus, Pablo reveals Esteban's secret to motivate Marta to shoot him, which includes Esteban's abuse of Carolina, who is Lupe's classmate, and many others. Importantly, Esteban has also abused his own daughter, Lupe. However, Marta still couldn't bring herself to shoot him. Later, it is also revealed that Lupe has been pretending to be innocent in this game, as Pablo has adopted her to be his own daughter since she was abused by Esteban. Pablo then hands the pistol to Lupe to finish off Esteban by herself, but she hesitates to do it as well, so Pablo decides to finish the job. In the end, Marta is subjected to torture until her death, and Pablo and Lupe continue to live their lives. That concludes this movie. You can watch more videos like this by clicking on the middle, and I'll see you in the next video.